So we have news out this morning that the Liberal government is planning to team up with the NDP and that they're going to be rolling out what they're calling a 2-month GST holiday on certain items right before the holidays. Okay, so it doesn't sound too bad, but let's dig into what this actually means, who it helps. And let's be honest, we have to look at whether this is about politics more than it is about people. So here's the gist of everything. For 2 months, the government will cut the GST on a bunch of items, including certain grocery products like beer, wine, hot meals. I guess beer and wine are essential grocery items now. Diapers, kids stuff like clothing, shoes, toys, and car seats. And this is part of a bigger package that also includes one-time checks for lower income Canadians that are set to go out in the spring. And these two measures, they're getting bundled into one bill, and the NDP says, at least at this point, that they're going to back it. Jagmeet Singh, the NDP leader, he's pretty happy about it. He says working people are being gouged every time they pay their cell phone bill or stop at the grocery store to grab something for dinner. Now, here's where things get interesting. The Liberals are in a bit of a tight spot right now. When you look at the polls, they're trailing the Conservatives by a lot, and Trudeau's approval ratings aren't looking that great. Meanwhile, you have inflation, cost of living complaints. They're still very much in the headlines. So let's call this what it is. This GST holiday feels, to me, strategic. It's a nice way to sort of shift the conversation back to affordability, especially before the holidays, which are right around the corner. Now, will a short-term tax break really win back voters? You can call me skeptical on this one. Let's not forget, too, that Trudeau's had a few pretty rough weeks. You look at Parliament, that's been a mess. We've seen a lot of debates about government documents holding everything up. And Employment Minister Randy Boissonnault, he just resigned over controversy surrounding his business dealers. So this GST move might be as much as sort of damage control as about helping Canadians. Now, the NDP is playing along for now, but they've also made it clear that they are thinking bigger. Singh has promised to permanently remove GST on items such as groceries and home heating, internet, and cell phone bills, diapers, kids' clothes. And this sounds like a pretty good thing if you're buying these things on paper. But the cost of this is around $5 billion a year. They say that they're going to cover that by taxing corporate profits or making an increase in the taxes on corporate profits. So whether this plan is able to be held up, whether it actually goes through, is anyone's guess at this point, but it's definitely a bold promise. Singh, he even wrote to provincial premiers and he asked them to cut their sales taxes on essential items too. So he's making a really strong play there. It's probably a pretty smart political move. And he's continuing to position the NDP as the party that's the most serious about affordability. So will this GST holiday actually help? No doubt, for a couple of months, you're going to save on things like toys, diapers, that rotisserie chicken that you might grab on a busy night. And the checks that arrive in the spring obviously are going to put a little bit of extra cash into people's pockets. But we do have to keep it real here. It isn't solving the root problem. It isn't solving the bigger problem. And this whole move also raises some questions. Is it really about helping Canadians, or is it honestly about Trudeau trying to regain some political ground? First off, the holiday is short-lived. These checks aren't going to arrive until months later. And it kind of feels like the government here is trying to look like they're taking action without committing to anything long-term. Also, we can't forget that this deal doesn't guarantee that the NDP will support Trudeau's fall economic statement. If the statement includes new spending, it could trigger a confidence vote, always a threat here in Canada. That might even bring down the Liberal government. So yeah, it is a nice gesture, this whole GST holiday, but it certainly isn't a game changer. What do you think? Is this holiday a meaningful way to help Canadians, or is it just political theater? Personally, I think it's a little bit of both. It's a quick win for the government, no doubt, but I don't think it's enough to solve the bigger problem, the bigger issues that people are facing. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. A quick note here before we move into our next story. I am thrilled to announce that just in a couple of weeks, Brandon, for those of you who don't know, who haven't followed the channel that long, he's my son. He's the founder of this channel, and he will be sitting down with a Canadian legend. I'm talking about former Dragon's Den star, best-selling author of The Wealthy Barber, David Chilton. This is a completely free session. It's Tuesday, December the 3rd at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific, and this is one session that you don't want to miss. I will put an RSVP link in the description below. Heck, pause the video now, sign up, and then carry on with the video. Now, there's a lot of volatility in the markets these days, and more investors are looking for a way to combine steady income with long-term growth potential. I'd like to introduce you to the Harvest Healthcare Leaders Income ETF. The ticker is HHL. It trades on the TSX, and it could be just what your portfolio needs. The fund itself, it has a proven track record, and catch this, HHL has paid monthly distributions since its inception, and it has passed $500 million in total distributions as of October 31st of this year. Now, HHL, it provides exposure to 20 of the world's leading healthcare companies, and these global innovators, they drive value by creating new drugs, treatments, technologies that meet consistent demand. From biopharma to advanced medical devices, these companies are at the forefront of this vital sector. And the healthcare industry is uniquely positioned for growth. It is fueled by aging populations, rising healthcare spending in developing markets, and breakthroughs in technology like GLP-1s and biotechnology advancements. You can add stability and innovation to your portfolio with HHL. Visit harvestportfolios.com/HHL to learn more and see how this fund can help you achieve your financial goals. I will put a link for this fund in the description of this video. Well, no end to the Canada Post strike is in sight yet. People apparently have mixed feelings on whether the government should step in for a resolution here. A recent poll, it shows that 57% support federal intervention to end the strike, while 21% are opposed. Now, as background, the workers have been off the job since last Friday. Mail delivery is at a standstill, and that is leaving a lot of Canadians frustrated. Labour Minister Steve McKinnon, he says that early intervention at this point isn't on the table, but federal mediators are working to help both sides try to find some common ground. Now, meanwhile, 61% of Canadians are worried about disruptions, especially with the holidays just around the corner. Let's face it, no one wants to have their gifts or their cards stuck in limbo. And I can attest to this, the Amazon returns are certainly piling up as well. Now, the strike itself, it comes down to some big demands here. The postal workers, they want a 24% pay hike over 4 years. The Canada Post is offering 11.5% at this point. There's also tension over issues like job security and partial delivery contracts for the weekends. And it's clear here that both sides have still a lot to hash out, but the gap feels pretty large when you're just following the news as I am on this topic here. When we look at public support for the workers' demands, we again see a divided picture here. 56% back them, but 29% are opposed. Now, one thing that is obvious here, the strike has put mail service front and center again for a lot of Canadians, and that has raised questions or re-raised questions about what a fair solution should look like. Okay, love it, hate it, doesn't really matter. Bitcoin has been on fire, breaking new records, and as of this morning, it just passed the 97,000 mark, and that's up over 40% now since Trump won the election, and traders are now assessing a possible crypto-friendly shift under the new administration. The latest spark here, well, a report that Trump's media company might buy Bakkt, which is a crypto trading firm, and that is a big move if it happens because it has people expecting less regulation and a lot more crypto action. Now, according to Mikhail Bhatia, he is a crypto expert and says that Bitcoin's appeal lies in its decentralized electronic cash. He says the rise of Bitcoin over the past 15 years is due to an innovation that cannot be recreated, decentralized electronic cash. And he calls Bitcoin digital gold and says that if Bitcoin's market cap matched gold's, each coin would be worth $800,000. Now, adding to the excitement, Trump recently met privately with Brian Armstrong. He is Coinbase's CEO, and that is stoking additional optimism among investors. Top of that, BlackRock, their Bitcoin ETF just launched options trading, and we've seen nearly $1.9 billion in contracts being traded right out of the gate. And this strong demand is just adding to the volumes and is pushing crypto to give it a nice solid boost. The global crypto market just hit the $3 trillion level. Bitcoin products have pulled in $4.2 billion since the election. So there's no doubt that there's a lot of serious buying pressure right now. If Bitcoin keeps climbing like this, quite possibly more and more investors will likely jump in as well. So could it be that crypto isn't just a trend after all? It looks like it may be becoming a major player in the financial world. As always, thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate that. I am going to put a link here as well for our Pulse newsletter, which we publish every weekend to keep you up with a weekly recap. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next video.